Hey guys, Keith here with Vintage Dad. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Somebody said that, or if you fail to prepare, whichever. I mean, it's been worded differently. Somebody said they thought Benjamin Franklin had coined that phrase, but then that wasn't confirmed. There's been some other people that may have been credited with that phrase. That if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So plans are good. There's no doubt. In life, we need to make plans. You know, hopefully, if you're, I just turned 60 a few days ago, so hopefully you've been planning for retirement. We don't think about that. My kids are in their teenagers, so retirement just seems like, why would I plan for that? It's hard to imagine that, but it's important to plan for those kind of things. It's important to plan for, you're having a wedding. You want to plan for a wedding. You plan for big events. You plan for different things. If you're starting a business, you want to plan for that business. You need a business plan, right? So there are things that need to be planned, obviously, in life, but sometimes plans aren't needed, and they're almost best if you don't have a plan. Some days, being spontaneous. And that's what I want to talk about today, is being spontaneous. As say I turned 60, had my birthday, and I'd asked some of y'all what I should do. My time is up as a 59-year-old, and in my 50s at all. That decade's over. I'm 60 now, new decade, and so I was trying to figure out what I should do, because I try to enjoy every day, and I really do, and try not to make one day better than the other, But it was my 60th, it's just like, there's certain things, you're 50, you're 40, 30, you're 21, and whatever. There's certain times, you're 16 through 18, I guess you want to kind of do something big, whatever. But so I was trying to figure out what to do, and I kind of wanted to go to. There was a Speedway Classic, which is the Major League Baseball game, and it was in Bristol, Tennessee, at the racetrack actually, and they converted the racetrack, in the field there, and to play baseball. And so they'd been playing that for a while, and so I was like, that'd be kind of cool to go to. There's no Major League Baseball teams around here or any stadiums, and I hadn't been to one in a long time. So, I thought that'd be kind of cool. I'm not real big on crowds, honestly. And last time I went to a race there wasn't a whole lot of people there, honestly, but it was still, we walked an hour or so to get back to our car. Couldn't get a tram or whatever they call that thing to give you a ride. And so, it was not a bad experience. It was cool, but it's still just like, I don't know if I want to do that again, kind of thing. And so I kind of think of the crowds and all that. And this was going to be a record breaking. So it was 90-some thousand people, I think, is what they wound up having. Got rained out, food shortage, a lot of things. So I was glad I did not do that. I hate that it turned out for those people, but that was I thought that would be a cool thing. But I knew it was going to be an all-day deal. No telling when we'd have got home. It's a few hours for us to drive, and traffic and everything. It would have been kind of a mess. And my kids aren't into baseball, and they would have went, but I just, I knew I'd had to. I say drag them. I wouldn't have had to drag them. I started to say that, but I wouldn't. They would have went, but I know that it wouldn't have been their thing, and it was going to be such a long day that I was like, nah. I just wasn't sure I wanted to do it really, and glad I didn't. Anyway, they wanted to go to this Comic Con, so it was something they wanted to do. I wasn't as big on that. It wasn't on my bucket list. It was just a little small event, $5 to get in, and everything like that. But it's like, well, it'd be kind of. And I'm cool with whatever they want to do. I just like hanging out with them. So I'm like, yeah, we can do that. And and they have some things there some vendors and some booths, and we like all that kind of stuff anyway. So anyway, we just kind of really did. We kind of had a plan there, I guess, but it wasn't just set in stone. We got to get up at this time, and we just we slept in, we goofed around, we got up, we went to eat, and so we didn't get there. I think it started at 10. We didn't get there sometime afternoon. Goofed around and just kind of one of them spontaneous days. We didn't have a plan of where we were going to eat. We got on the road, and we just got to talking about where you want to eat. Hey, we go here. We hadn't ate there in a while, so we found a place, grabbed us a burger, and just had a good time. got over there. We did some shopping, and had some vendors, and we, of course, bought some stuff, and I found some things for myself, and my son bought me something there, and so it was just cool. And then the kids were dressed up, they do the cosplay thing, or they dress up, and so a lot of people were dressed up, and they have a little contest, and so my kids were in that. It was just really cool. And then we went back into the event. And it was a small event. It was at a Holiday Inn Express. It wasn't a huge thing, but it was just neat, just nice and quaint, and not terribly crowded, So just fun. And Cheryl Rhodes was the executive vice president for Marvel Comics years ago. He's in his 80s now. He's from that area, actually, where we were at. So we didn't see him before. Kind of forgot he was there. I actually kind of forgot about him being there. I think he was at a Q&A when we went through the first time. We went by, and he was there with his brother and at a table, and so he spoke to us when we walked by, and we spoke to him, and he said, "You want an autograph?" Or, I'm like, "Yeah." And so he had a kind of a little small poster of one of the Marvel characters, and he signed it. Made one out to all of us, and he just began to tell us stories about working for Marvel and working on Men in Black. He was, at the movie set for that, working with Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith, and back in the day, and he gave Deadpool his first comic. And so, in other words, Deadpool was a character in the comics, but Cheryl was vice president at Marvel, and so Deadpool had never had his own comic, out. So he was the first one to give Deadpool his own comic book, and so there was. But anyway, he just told us so many stories. His brother, I don't know if I said that, his brother was there with him, and he was. We just enjoyed both of them so much. Got our picture with him and everything. We just talked for a long time. There was no line. There was nobody waiting, and we just had. It was like, man, I told the kids, I said, that's a highlight of my day right there. That's. I'd rather done that as went to the ball game, because I probably wouldn't have got autographs at the ball game and that kind of thing, or met any of the players or anything. So it was really neat. And we like I say, purchased some other stuff, I think, and then we left there and we went by a movie theater. We've been wanting to see The Naked Gun, the new one with Liam Neeson and Pamela Anderson. And it was playing at that movie theater in about 50 minutes, so we're like, cool. We were headed to Antique Mall. We did that. And then we set a timer so we wasn't in the Antique Mall too long. And then we went over to the movie theater. We had enough time just to get in there. And, of course, it was still the matinees. It was in the afternoon. It was cheaper, so that worked out. So that's always good. By the time we got popcorn, I don't know if it was a whole lot cheaper. But anyway, we got popcorn, sodas, and all that. Got in there, got seated, got a good seat. And it was a great movie. We had fun with that. And then we went on shopping and goofed around. And then wound up going to Olive Garden, and we hadn't ate there in a long time, and it was great. And going into Olive Garden, I don't know if this is a factual or not, so this is just my story, and I'm sticking to it kind of thing. But as we were walking in, there was two sets of doors going into Olive Garden. There was outer doors. There was in a little section there, and then another set of doors that went on into the restaurant. And so my kids were in front of me, so they was opening the door, the inside doors for this couple and their kids coming out. And so I backed up and went on outside again and opened that door for them to come out. And I didn't really pay attention to them. I just spoke to them or whatever, and because the lady was first, and I think she thanked me or whatever. And then I kind of glanced at the guy. I didn't really say much. I don't know if I said anything to him. I think I may have said have a nice day or something, whatever. But anyway, I kind of got just a glimpse of him. And then I heard him say something. I don't know if he said something to me or if there was a couple guys standing outside and he said something. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that sounds like Dale Earnhardt Jr., the race car driver. If you're not into NASCAR, you probably still heard of Dale Earnhardt Jr. even if you're not. But anyway, I was like, and we were in a town where one of the racetracks is at, and it was raining, so we'd heard, because I don't think there was a race there that day, honestly, unless there was. I don't think there was a main race anyway. So, but anyway, I don't know if it was him or not. We were trying to confirm that with the hostesses and the waitresses and all that, but nobody could confirm it was him. But either way, I don't care if it was him or it was somebody else. It was just a nice gesture. I like to open doors for people, and my son does as well. So, anyway, we just had a good day. It was a great meal, and we had a great waitress, and it was just we came home, and I stayed up late that night, and I just didn't want to go to bed because I had had such a great day, and I hated for the day to end. And I didn't make any plans that day. We didn't plan. We wanted to go to a movie at some point this weekend or that weekend or this week sometime, but we didn't make any plans. It just we drove by the theater, there it was, and we did it. And just all the things we did that day, we might have had in our head we'd kind of like to do them, or if we get time, but we just kind of went where the wind took us a little bit. And like I say, you can't do that through life completely, but being a free spirit and being spontaneous sometimes is you can really have a great day. And so I couldn't have had a better 60th birthday. And I hope that, like I say, you can't do that every day with your life. You have to make plans. You have to set your alarm and get up and go to work or whatever you've got going on in your life. And, you have appointments and things that you have to plan, obviously. But once in a great while, once maybe more often than a great while, but once in a while, you need to do something spontaneous, with the ones you love, your friends or your family, whatever, and just kind of have a plan. Maybe say, hey, let's go do this, but let's take a road trip. Let's just see where the road takes us. Me and my daughter used to do that a lot on weekends, and we'd maybe have a plan. Let's drive up this way and see what we run into, and we'd find a little general store, or we'd find an antique mall, or a scenic overlook or something, that we hadn't planned on seeing. And so being spontaneous is an important thing. So just you want to live your life. You don't want to live your life without plans, but you don't want to live your life without spontaneity either, because it's important. So anyway, I appreciate y'all tuning in as always, and hope you're having a great day. And I hope you do something spontaneous this week, just something without any plans whatsoever. And let me know how it turns out. Hope you're having a great one. Thanks.